Alright, Damon at Black Warrior Lures, we got our new tailpipe in. I may put a video up, show you how this thing revs up with this little, it's a cool little tailpipe, man. And when we took the old tailpipe off, you know, they got this kind of metallic gasket. Half of it came off, half of it stuck here, half of it came off, and I tried to use this back, but you can see, as you can see here, this is not sealing very well. So this gasket is worthless. And a lot of people want to know, well, how in the world, you know, you don't want to have to go get another gasket from somewhere and have to pay $2 for the gasket, and you got to pay $6 to ship it, right? That's just stupid, right? So what do? What you do is you make your own gaskets. Go to an auto parts store, buy yourself some gasket material. Okay, you can cut timing cover. You can use this stuff all over your motor. And just go to the auto parts store, anywhere like an AutoZone or Pep Boys, O'Reilly's, anywhere like that. And you got a whole roll of gasket material. And you can just use that whole roll there to put gaskets on this whole thing. You just need to make your own gaskets. Now the old school guys, the way they would make gaskets, paper gaskets, is they would use an old ball peen hammer to cut things out. But I'm not going to do that because I don't have a ball peen hammer, and I just don't like the idea of banging on my motor with a hammer, you know. So what we're going to do is probably have to go get me a X-Acto knife, or got some razor blades somewhere. And what we're going to do is we need to clean all this off. And the one thing we can either do is just trace this onto here, just trace it right on, okay, and then just cut it out with like a X-Acto knife or whatever. And if you had a paper filter, you could just mat it onto here and just hammer it out lightly, and that would cut it out exactly. But this is a thicker material. One of the things that I had problems with this Ventura here, I could never get this stud off. One of the things I realized is that, now that I know, you can just make these yourself. You can just copy that, make that gasket, put that gasket there. This is a lot thinner. It'll fit right on there, no problems. So if you need gaskets, don't have to worry about buying gaskets. Just make your own. You get the gasket material here, and you'll be good to go. So, that's what you want. And this is the rubber fiber sheet here. And you think, can it stand up to the heat? Well, it's for the timing cover. I mean, the timing cover on your car gets pretty hot, and so we're going to take what's left of this old piece of gasket, put it there, China marker, see, from my rod building. I'm just going to mark out the outside of it, of this little gasket here. Just trace the outside of it. It's just like I would be. And get that D there for the, oh, come on now, that D there for the porting. See, there we go. Okay, now what we're going to do is take our little scissors that I have here, I keep here on the boat here. Now for this outside, stay outside the line here. If you stay outside the line, it'll be slightly oversized. If it's slightly oversized, that's okay. So you can deal with that. So it's fairly easy to cut. This is just gasket material. It feels like sort of a felt rubber mixture of some kind. And so that's what we're going to do. We'll just rip that off there, and we can trim up later. Again, just outside the line there is fine. And see, this will save you some frustration, because I know a lot of you guys like to get inside your motors and remove the governors and do all that stuff. Well, if you just had to sit here and buy a brand new stinking, I'm just gonna take our, I'm just gonna not even try to get a hole there, and a punch there. That's just an old nail there. A X-Acto knife would be better. Again, with the old paper filter, like a manila folder type gasket, you can just take a ball peen hammer and it'll just cut out that paper. You just lay that paper on there and just cut it out right there, and does a pretty good job of it. You'd be surprised at what it can do. But, you know, again, I just don't like the idea of stinking hammers on my dang motor, man. I don't want to be banging on my motor. You know, what the heck is that, right? Banging on my stinking motor. It's like, you know, bang on your own motor. Don't be banging on my motor, right? But anyway, so this right here is going to be a little bit more difficult here. If I had a X-Acto knife, it'd be a lot easier. So what we're going to do here is just try to get it as best we can. Oh, see, get that torn a little bit there. Now this one I'm not so concerned with keeping the line and all that kind of thing. The main thing is just to get it cut on out and be done with it. A X-Acto knife would be far better for this whole process, but again, you know, I'm just, you know, a lot of times you just use what you have on hand, and that's just how life works, you know. Yeah, that gasket's kind of torn right there, and so we're going to just punch this out here, punch this out here. Just see what we can do with that. And as you can see, that porting is nowhere near big enough. So what we'll do is go back in here and just kind of trim out some more. What we need are some, I may just need to go get my thread snips, so I'll be right back. I use thread snips for fly tying, rod building, lure making my little bobbers. And so they come in handy for all kinds of little projects like this. So we're cutting the line off here on the inside, as you can see, because it's not as important. But again, a X-Acto knife would be like the perfect thing for this. Again, we're going to just sort of okay. There we go. If it's a little oversized, I ain't worried about it. But there we go. I'm gonna put that gasket on there, and we're gonna crank it up. A little denatured alcohol here. Try to clean that up. Okay. Take that off. And maybe let it dry, and we're ready to go. Okay, see the gasket there? Let's see, what was this, 12 millimeter, I believe. And we'll get our bolts. Alright, we're going to crank it up and see what you can do. Okay, come on here now, don't give me all this trouble. There we go. There's that. And gasket. Oh, come on now, don't give me this trouble. There we go. Yeah. See, and so this, you can do the same thing with the, there we go. Do the same thing with the carburetor if you wanted. That way you can take that big thick gasket out here and just put one of those little thinner gaskets, and you won't even have a problem with needing to take off the bolt there. Alright, so we had to make another one there, but we got a template there. If all else fails, you can always just kind of come in here and try to use the old hammer method. But right now we're going to fire her up and see what she does. Yeah, there's the gasket. It's doing alright. The new, man, that thing pumps a lot of gas out of there. Golly. She's not ready to go yet. We'll give her a little choke. I found with these motors, you got to give them a little bit more choke. All right. Yeah, that was the governor kicking in there. She's ready to run, man. This thing's ready to run. God, that thing's powerful. That gasket's working out just fine. You see, it's got all that heat on there, and it's holding the heat and doing fine. And so, if you're having a problem, if you need gaskets, you don't have to go buy gaskets. You can just make your own. Just get you the felt material, you know. And even if you had to make a couple of them to get it right, still, I mean, how much did it cost you? This cost $5.99 from, like, I got this from Auto Advance, or you can go to AutoZone or Pet Boys, any of those guys. And I got plenty of gasket material for the whole motor. And so, if you're looking at installing that Ventura and you're having problems with that gasket there, just make your own gasket. Just make your own stinking gasket. You don't have to settle for their gaskets. How do they know what I want with my motor? So, but anyway, I don't want to get too ornery here. Now listen, if you want, you've seen how I built this motor with the other video. You've seen how it's running now. I've got modifications going. I'm getting a whole lot more horsepower out of this thing. If you want to know how to soup up, hot rod, or hop up one of these motors, check out my website down there at Black Warrior Lures / mud motors. If you know, so I'm putting together a hot rod mud motor builder's guide for those of you who are just not satisfied with the stock motor. You want more horsepower, you want more torque, but you don't want to break the bank, and you don't want to blow up your engine, you know, stuff flying apart on you and kill you in the process, right? You want to do it safely, but get as much horsepower as you can out of these. Check out my, mud motor hot rod builder's guide over at that website, on my website, and I will check you guys later. Check it out. There's a shutdown procedure here. Choke on, fuel off, kill switch off, motor off, top dead center. And there we go. And bam, done. Talk to you guys later.